Hi, and welcome to our channel Horizons Tomorrow. Our guest country today is Ireland, the Green Emerald. My daughter visited Ireland just a few days ago, and I hope this will be enjoyable for you. As usual, I left my hometown of Medellin, Colombia, born to Miami, very early in the morning. And then after a few hours wait, we took a connecting flight to New York. And then from New York, we took a Jumbo 747 Aer Lingus aircraft, bound to Dublin with one stopover in Boston, where many Irish people live. As a frequent flyer, when I entered the aircraft, I checked if there was any empty seats, and I noticed that there were exactly 3 empty seats at the very end of it. I asked the beautiful Irish stewardess if I could possibly change seats, which she said no problem whatsoever, be my guest. Then I moved all my stuff, and I was prepared to take a nice nap because I was really exhausted. I asked kindly to this lady not to disturb me because I was really tired. I actually covered myself with one of those small and thin blankets that the airlines provide passengers who do transoceanic flights. After a few minutes, I noticed that this lady covered me with a much bigger and a much warmer blanket. 2 hours before we land, she whispered on my ear, "Mr. Velez, we are about to land, so your dinner is ready." I sat up and enjoyed this delicious dinner. It tasted out of this world. I always had good or very good experiences with most airlines, but definitely this was one of the best, if not the best, attention I ever received on a flight by a flight attendant. Which meant a good and nice preamble of that warmth and a human quality of these wonderful Irish people. Once we landed in the Irish capital of Dublin, my boss was waiting for me with 2 passports, ready to take a flight back to London and then to Copenhagen in Denmark. I could not believe my eyes that I still have to take another 2 flights. And while we were having some snacks during the flight, he noticed that I was wearing a mustache, like Juan Valdez style mustache, and he reminded me of the very strict presentation codes of our company. So he asked me to take off my mustache. Fortunately, as a frequent flyer, I repeat, I used to carry in my hand luggage all the hygiene and personal elements that a frequent flyer needs. Besides, I used to have a spare t-shirt, a pair of socks, interiors, and what have you. Anyway, I took off my mustache, and then I came back to talk to my friend, to my boss actually, and he explained to me why we were going to Copenhagen. Our company had in the past very successful yo-yo promotions in Denmark. So they wanted us to present to the Coca-Cola bottlers in Denmark the dingbat or the pariball, which is another game that we used to promote in several countries. And we were to meet Frank Willemus, the marketing manager for the Coca-Cola bottlers in the Danish territory. We had a stopover in London, and then we took Scandinavian Airlines, SAS, a flight bound to Copenhagen. Once we arrived in the hotel, I actually collapsed in my bed after 2 days of flying. Next day, we got up early and had breakfast in our hotel, then moved directly to the Coca-Cola Export Corporation offices in Copenhagen, when I put up a very nice display and demonstration with the dingbat or pariball for all our audience. They were very pleased with it, and they promised to purchase the program. Then we had lunch with the Coca-Cola people, and just before going to the airport, we passed by the Little Mermaid monument, which is near Amalienborg castle, where the royal family lives in Denmark. Then we finally arrived in Dublin, and we started making preparations for our promotions, organizing venues, schedules, POS material, TV commercial, and what have you. As an assistant manager of the promotion, I had many responsibilities, and one of them was to visit frequently the offices of the Coca-Cola Export Corporation in Ireland, located in the nice city of Drogheda. I remember that a very good friend of mine who worked there, once he noticed that I was going to leave my briefcase in the back part of our vehicle, he gave me a great advice that I even use now. Out of sight, out of mind. Then I took off my briefcase just in case. I made the TV commercial that I had a great impact in the Irish youth audience. After a few weeks, all the other members of our team, the champions, arrived, and we had our kickoff party or press conference. It was wonderful, and actually we had a very famous presenter by the name of Angus McAnally. As a matter of fact, I used to do some shows on a Saturday morning with him. He was a very fun guy, and he wore a red shoe and a yellow shoe, and we had good fun together. While in Ireland, we hired a local plastic manufacturer who produced the yo-yos for our promotion. Unfortunately, he did not meet the deadlines, and it caused quite a few problems in regard to the distribution of the merchandise. Once you create in the media all the demand, it is extremely important that those kids that will go to a shop will find their yo-yos. Otherwise, they will feel kind of frustrated. At this moment in time, I would like to disclose a few secrets of our working agreement with the Coca-Cola bottlers throughout the world. And I would like to start with the manager's manual. You can see here, this was the manager's manual that all of us used. And I can see here in the first part it says introduction, and it goes, first point is production, planning, distribution, physical running of the campaign, finances, other key points, and forms. Then in section 2, we have a timing, advertising material, delivery schedule, distribution, campaign schedule, city schedule, company situation, local employees, rental cars, and general. In section 4, we have physical running of the campaign, kickoff party, reporting and checking, home office reporting, publicity, dress and behavior code, promotional coordinators job guidelines, and general. At this time, I would like to show you the promotional coordinator rating sheet. It was very important for us to know how our people behave and how they did perform. And at the very end of our manual, we have some pictures on how to assemble our yo-yos. I repeat, with all due respect, I will disclose some of the secrets of those working agreements between the Jack Russell Company and the Coca-Cola bottlers throughout the world. It worked for over 60 years in more than 90 countries, where we sold more than 500 million yo-yos. As mentioned before in the manager's manual, distribution was key to the success of any campaign. So we stressed very strongly to the bottlers to make a good distribution, and there was a paragraph in the working agreement that demanded at least one yo-yo dealer per 1,000 inhabitants. Not always an easy task to be met. Secondly, without spending on investing one penny, our company did receive what we call living expenses for the manager and for all the staff. Besides, there was another important clause in the working agreement that says that any leftover yo-yos on the dealers or unsold yo-yos or leftovers, whatever you want to call them, the Coca-Cola should take them back. And that was a very clever and very wise part of the working agreement, because by having those yo-yos back, the Coca-Cola bottlers were forced, in a way, to make a liquidation program or to run another program. So the Jack Russell Company got them hooked in there. Talking about leftovers or unsold yo-yos, I would like to share with you a couple of great stories. One of them happened when Castro took over Batista in the island of Cuba. Our company was running a yo-yo promotion at that very moment on time, and apparently there was a huge warehouse full of yo-yos. The other story happened in New Zealand, where unfortunately and for a very strange reason, the promotion was not as successful as expected, and our company could not conciliate with the local bottlers. So they decided to bury thousands of yo-yos under a mountain. Going back to our promotion in Ireland, it was very successful, and if I have to compare it, I will compare it with a forest fire, and actually it reached unbelievable heights. It has been many years since the last yo-yo promotion in Ireland, so it was unstoppable. Two of the greatest highlights that happened to us during our pleasant visit of the Green Emerald of Ireland happened in two different sites. One of them was on a Saturday morning when our whole team took part of St. Patrick's Parade. Thousands and thousands of people from Dublin came out to the streets to see this wonderful parade. It was a Saturday morning and it was freezing cold, and we have to walk for 3 hours playing with our yo-yos and walking at the very same time. We were exhausted at the very end of the parade, but we were so satisfied that we have pleased so many people with our yo-yos and our tricks and techniques. The other highlight happened at the Late Late Show, aired on Saturdays evenings at 10 p.m. and magically conducted by Guy Byrne, and we were part of that show. Since 1962 until 1999, he invited to his show the most VIPs from throughout the world, and we were part of that show. Such an honor. Huh? I must admit that the Late Late Show was an important part of every single Irish person's life, that's for sure. Basically, what we did every country we went as champions was to fabricate a fad. We will visit 3 or 4 schools in the morning. We'll put on a very nice show for the children, and then we'll invite them to come to the nearest confectionery or store near the school at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and 5 o'clock, where we have our as we call them, daily contest. Then on weekends we will have a weekly contest with much better prizes that will lead us into the semi-finals and finals. Once visiting schools, I approached very typical and traditional Irish schools in downtown Dublin, and the principal said to me, when I told him what I was going to do, he said to me, if you can perform in perfect Irish, I will let you in. I say, I do not speak Irish, but thank you very much, and went to look for another school. That was the only time I felt some hostility from anybody in Ireland. It never ever happened again. After a few weeks in Dublin, I was assigned to the southern and beautiful city of Cork. Actually, the city where Henry Ford, the car inventor, was born. I enjoyed to the fullest this beautiful and fertile land of Cork, where I was treated like a VIP. On a Sunday afternoon, I was rather bored and sitting at the hotel reception, and the young lady kindly told me, why don't you take a short drive and visit the Blarney Castle? And I'm pretty sure you will have fun. I took my car and drove all the way to the Blarney Castle, and I took the tour to see this medieval beautiful castle. And I heard the tour guide when he said that there was a very famous stone that anyone who will kiss it will speak very well and will have eloquence when speaking. And I managed to lean backwards and to kiss the stone almost in an acrobatic movement, but I succeed doing so. When I first arrived in Cork, I was assigned a beautiful Fiat 2000, and the color was red, and it sounded like a racing car. I enjoyed driving that car so much. The car was so reliable that actually if someone would have asked me to go to Rome in that car, I will go immediately, because I have so much faith in my good friend. Actually, it never let me down. It happened again on a Sunday afternoon around 4 o'clock when my boss called me from Dublin, and he informed me that there was a very important meeting that I must attend. And I said to him, look, but I am in Cork. This is 4-hour drives away. And he said, come, I need you here. So I disclosed this to someone at the reception that I have to leave urgently to Cork. And he gave me a great advice that I still put in practice nowadays. He said, grab yourself some chewing gum and keep on chewing until you reach Dublin. That will prevent you from sleeping. What a great advice that was. Well, while driving, I enjoy so much the Irish countryside and to see that beautiful green of the Irish prairies, etc., etc. Enjoying and listening the bunch of time of Foster and Allen and Muscles and Crocker and what have you in that rich Irish music. We arrived in Dublin and we had that meeting until 10, 11 o'clock at night. Then I had a few hours of sleep, woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning because I needed to be in a very important meeting in Cork at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I start driving in that very dark night of Ireland. And I actually found a very huge truck with a wide and long load, but unfortunately I was able to slow down. Halfway through, in my way back to Cork, my gas light started flashing, and I said to myself, oh my goodness, I'm running out of gas. So I looked for a gas station, but I knew I couldn't stop. So finally I found one, and I was able to put some gas in my car. And actually I gave the guy I gave him one apple that someone has given me for breakfast. Being 8 o'clock sharp, I entered the office of the Coca-Cola manager in Cork, and he said to me, please have a seat. And I said to him, I've been sitting for the last 4 hours. Told him the whole story, and he could not believe it. He said, you could have called me. And I say, no, I promise you to be here at 8, and here I am. That accountability made the difference. And from that moment on, I gained this person's friendship and trust, and he helped me so much to make the promotion a huge success. Back in Dublin, and for whatever reason that I certainly do not remember, I have a very strong argument with my boss, and unfortunately our relationship deteriorated. I think not all can be funny and fun stories. Like any other job, this was not a rose garden, and unfortunately this happened. This verbal incident was so important that I was forced to send an urgent telex to our home office in the US. Immediately, I got a reply from Jack Russell where he told me and told him to stop fighting like children and that we were managers and should be the example of the rest of the team. Obviously, sending this complaint to our home office made this person even more upset. At this moment in time, I would like to disclose a scary experience that I had at an Irish pub while having some Guinness stout with a friend of mine. He said to me, please stay still and don't say a single word. And then all of a sudden, a man with a hat came asking for contributions for the IRA. It was certainly a very scary experience. With this very same friend, we were traveling to another city and somehow one car came very close to us. And I praise the Lord that fortunately nothing happened. He saved our life one more time. And my friend only said, we're gonna need a paint job. During our promotion in Ireland, unfortunately, the war of the pride between the UK and Argentina broke up for the Falkland Islands. And it really touched my heart to see that unnecessary war and the loss of so many lives from both sides. While watching the news at the hotel reception, there was a very kind man who saw me very stressed, and he used to tell me, unwind, my friend, unwind. And finally, that Saturday for the grand final contest arrived, and before the ritual of getting dressed flawlessly and preparing not two, but 4 yo-yos and brand new strings, to be at the height of the circumstances, I went out to have a bite in my car. And when I finished, I returned and got into my car, but opened the door too wide, and I hit the bezel of the other car. I tried to put it back, but unfortunately the pins were broken. So I got a little bit frustrated because I couldn't fix it. So I wrote a note with my name, telephone number, address, etc., and I put it in the front driver windshield. Waited for 10 minutes, but he never showed up. We went to the final. The final went out beautifully. It was a tremendous success, so much that my boss was kind enough to congratulate me for our performance. That Saturday evening, we all gathered together at the hotel for a small celebration. I didn't stay long for obvious reasons, and a good friend of mine disclosed to me that I was going to Denmark the following week. I didn't want to go there, so I decided to escape from Ireland. So I went to the Aer Lingus office in downtown Dublin and fixed my ticket and asked my driver to pick me up on Sunday at 6 o'clock. I took a flight from Dublin to New York to visit my Uncle Joe in the Big Apple with a stopover in Galway, where I picked up the phone and talked to this good friend of mine and said to him, look, I am already on my way to New York, please inform my boss. Once in the Big Apple, I sat down quietly, already cooled down, and I wrote a very long and very specific letter explaining to the company why I have left so abruptly and without notice. I needed to do it, and I did it. Sometimes, like Kenny Rogers' song says, sometimes you have to prove that you're a man. And it cost me a lot. That morning, all gathered together to receive the bonuses. And as an assistant manager, I was supposed to receive $3,000 as my bonuses. but unfortunately later on they only sent me 1,300. So that move cost me $1,700. Fortunately, my resume with our company was so transparent and so good that it did not affect my career with the company. Finally, I would like to put on record the great human qualities of the Irish people, who gave me friendship and affection, as well as their help in difficult times. The Irish are hardworking and honest people with great religious beliefs, who love and respect and have respected their country for centuries. I would like to say goodbye with a piece of my favorite song as a token of my infinite appreciation. From Foster and Allen, A Bunch of Time. Come on, your madness young and fair, all you that are blooming in your prime, always beware and keep your garden fair. Let no man steal away your time. Thank you very much indeed for watching, and may the new year bring you health and happiness. See you soon.